There's a lot to get done in the first 100 days and in the first year, frankly. We've got a lot of mess to clean up. Washington has become too big. Spending is too excessive. Borrowing threatens our future as a country. And we're going to have to rein in a lot of the excess. So I'm going to put a halt on all of the Obama-era regulations. I'm going to open up energy sources for us to begin developing our own energy. I'm going to make sure that China is recognized for the currency manipulator and intellectual property theft that they are. And go after them for those practices. There's a lot that's going to have to get done, and it'll be a big agenda. But America expects us to get things on track again.
But would America expect a possible trade war with China on your first day in office if that were to come? A lot of your critics, Governor, have said, calling him out on the currency thing, well, you might be right. A lot of people readily agree with you that they are fixing their currency. Inviting a trade war at a time we're running these huge deficits and piled on debts for which they're covering a good chunk of the bill, that might not get you off to a good start. What do you say?
Well, what I recognize is that we buy a heck of a lot more from them than they buy from us. So they're not interested in a trade war. They have a lot more to lose in that regard than we would, and that's not going to happen. What we're seeing is a kind of subterranean trade war right now, where they're taking our jobs, they're taking our technology, they're taking our intellectual property, and they're doing it by not following the rules that normally exist in a free trade society. And by virtue of hacking into our computers, by stealing intellectual property, and by artificially holding down the prices of their goods across the world, they gain market share, they gain business, and they put American businesses out of business. They kill American jobs. Look, China wants to take advantage of every opportunity they have. I understand that. But at some point, you have to have someone stand up and say, look, you've got to play by the rules. You don't play by the rules, there'll be consequences. My guess is they'd rather play by the rules than engage in a trade war with a nation that is buying a lot more from them than they do from us.
Governor, I did notice that it's tucked into your economic plan as well. Well, you want to remove a lot of the problems and the regulations that stop companies from repatriating money back here. For example, as almost a footnote in this plan, I noticed that you want to try to avoid the creation of incentives for outsourcing. How would you do that?
Well, you create incentives for outsourcing when you have higher tax rates in the U.S. than other countries around the world. Because what happens then is that people move their operations offshore. You create incentives for outsourcing when you put an enormous regulatory burden in this country that doesn't exist in the rest of the world. We need regulation, of course, but you don't need to have such uncertainty in regulation that it kills enterprise here. I spoke with people at Dow Chemical. They've just announced, for instance, a $20 billion facility going into Saudi Arabia to take advantage of natural gas resources there. They would have rather built that facility in the U.S., but because of the regulatory blockade in some respects against using our natural gas resources, they just don't have confidence in the future here in the U.S., so they have to build offshore.
No, that I understand, Governor, but I'm sorry, sir. But does it go so far as to say companies that are simply seeking cheaper labor abroad would be a target in a Romney administration?
No, I'm not saying that. And as a matter of fact, I've spoken with a number of companies that say, look, our reason for going abroad is because of the uncertainty in this country, the regulatory environment, the uncertainty with regards to energy policy. It's not lower labor rates that take us abroad. It's all of the governmental impact that makes America a less attractive place for business. You heard the chief executive of Coca-Cola say that China is a more friendly business environment than America. That's a terrible indictment. And we have to make America the most attractive place in the world for investment, for growth,